Welcome back to DeezyVision. Today we are back in downtown Nassau, and we are back because we'll be taking a tour of this building that you see behind me, known as the Balcony House. Now, the last time that we were in downtown Nassau, we were over at the Pompeii Museum, which isn't too far from where I'm standing right now, and we did a tour there. And so we have come back because I heard about the Balcony House. I've never been here before, never done this tour, and so today, for the first time, we are going to be doing a tour of the Balcony House. Now, the Balcony House is the oldest wooden structure in the Bahamas, and it has been here for over, well, at least in Nassau, I should say, and it's been here for over, I would say, I think 200 years. But we'll get all that information once we go on the inside and start the tour. So if you're ready, come on, let's go.
And a very warm welcome to the oldest wooden home left on the island of New Providence. My name is Sheena, and I'll be your tour guide. Balcony House is about 230 plus years old, made from wood on the outside American cedar, and as you walk through the home, it's sealed with a local wood known as Abaco pine. It was constructed by the Loyalists, Americans who wanted to remain faithful to the British after the American War of Independence in the 18th century. And the name of the home, it derives from the balcony you would have seen coming in. Believe it or not, this area that you're standing in, it was the stable. And it's reflected by the architectural design of the stable doors on the outside. We're going to go on the outside for a couple minutes, and then we'll come in and start the official. Back then, kitchens.
This used to be an outside kitchen?
Right.
Okay.
Back then, kitchens, they were always separate from the main home because persons were afraid of smoke, fire, heat, and rats. And when the cooking was prepared in this building, then it would have been taken in through the two side doors behind you, stored in the pantry until serving. I want you to take a look to the south. To the south, you're going to see a pink and white steeple. That steeple, it belongs to the government house. And this is the official residence of the Governor General, who is the Queen's representative here in the Bahamas. But it was said back then, the closer you lived to that house, the richer you were thought to have been. So basically, living to the north spoke of status and wealth, while to the south, we in our Bahamian dialect, we call it over the hill. Primarily not because of age, but because it's where the freed slaves or poor blacks settled after 1838. Some stuff about the flora and fauna on the property. To the right, we have a flower called the golden trumpet alamander, synonymous to many Caribbean islands. In the Bahamas, I would say it's a distant cousin to the national flower, the yellow elder. Straight across, you have the gannet tree. But in other Caribbean islands, we call it Spanish lime. Food was brought in from the kitchen, stored, plated, then taken through to the dining room. To the left, you have the glassware. To the right, we have the china. In the front of us, we have the different kitchen utensils. And to the right of that, you have the washing apparatuses. Okay.
Now, some of these things that I see in the cupboard, they ain't 200 and something years old.
No.
Okay.
They belong to the last owner who actually lived in the home. And
okay.
This was during the 1940s. A lot of these stuff in here are hers.
Okay.
Now this would be the dining room. And if you notice these L-shaped hinges, they were used back then for what they called one-sidedness, or to keep the doors from leaning. And then all the knobs, locks, and keys, they're original to the home. Take a look at the ceilings and the slats in the wall. They, like the L-shaped hinges, are different and unique. But these slats, they would have been used for circulation, to help the circulation through the rooms. Now the home had many owners, but two persons that we speak about who would have lived in the house would have been a black man of color. His name was Stephen Dillard. Mr. Dillard became the first MP on the islands, black MP on the islands. He purchased a home in 1841. And then in 1947, his family, they sold the home to a rich American by the name of Josephine Bryce. In 1985, the Central Bank of the Bahamas purchased the home from the Bryce estate. So today, they are the present owners.
Okay.
Okay? And a lot of the furnitures in here, they either belong to Miss Josephine Bryce or Mr. Stephen Dillard.
Now this clock you're looking at is one of the original items from the home when Stephen Dillard owned it in the 1800s. Okay, so this here is the living room.
Right. This is what we call it today. But back then, you know, you could have called this room a sitting room or even a drawing room. But because the Bahamas was one of the 13 British colonies, they called it the parlor. And basically it was just a room where you came to relax either before or after dining. If you notice, the furnitures, as you're going to see on the second floor, they're very small.
Mm-hmm.
But this gave us a lot of ammunition to say, hey, these persons, they must have been smaller back then than they are today. Now, before Mistress Bryce came into the home in 1947, they still used candles. When she came in, she electricized or gave power to the house and created the first working bathroom in the home. We call it the Violet's bathroom. Okay?
But this would have been a picture of...
Just an English lady.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Now that piano, that was a part of Stephen Dillard's collection. And it came from England, or it was made in England by a piano making company called Phillips, Cambridge & Co., which no longer exists. See, in the living room, you have the different types of the entertainments that they would have used. The card table to the right, the piano. Then you had the tea setup and the sewing table. All of these would have kept them busy back then.
Okay.
Okay. On the wall, you have two pictures of the then way of life in the Bahamas. To the right, you have persons sponging, and to the left, you have persons conking.
So diving was a big thing back then.
Yeah. So was shipwrecking and. Okay. You wanna ask any questions? Watch your step coming up.
Okay. Okay, so we're heading to the upstairs of the balcony house.
This is the famous mahogany staircase. This was taken from a shipwreck in the 19th century. You know, shipwrecking was a big licensed industry during those eras. And on this floor, I tell my guests, this is the most favorite floor in the house.
So before we continue, shipwrecking would be
Yeah.
just going aboard ships that have been shipwrecked and collecting items?
No, you know, shipwrecking was actually where persons would have used torches or lanterns to, how should I say, have the ships coming in go onto the rocks,
Okay.
right? And then when the,
Oh, so there would be something intentionally done to a ship.
Right.
Okay.
and when the ships crashed or whatever, or a ship were wrecked, then they would go on, but they had a license from the governor to do that.
Okay.
They would go on and collect whatever perishable goods were there.
Okay.
Okay. Now this is my favorite floor because what does it look like to you?
And I do notice this kind of unusual shape here in the middle where the stairway is.
Stairway.
Yeah, almost like a
But
boat,
it
like.
looks like a ship.
Yeah, like a
If
boat.
you look to the right, the ceiling is slanted.
Yes.
And
Okay,
then-
I notice it now.
On top, it looks like what they call a captain's bridge.
Right.
And the floor isn't steady at all. What is that? And on this is the first working bathroom in the home. We call it the Violet bathroom. And it was created by the American Mrs. Price.
And this is the original way it was when she first purchased the
When she
home?
came into the house, no. Before she came into the home, we believe it may have been a children's bedroom or a
Okay.
nanny's room.
Okay.
And then if you notice, if you look towards the window over there, with the slanted ceiling,
Yeah.
it looks like a cabin on board a ship,
Okay.
on a very old ship.
And all of this is the original stuff she put in here?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Except the wallpaper may have been changed.
Okay.
Not may have been changed. It actually was. Keep going.
Okay.
This is the guest bedroom. And it was home to many celebrities, royalties, and even wealthy persons. Persons like Ian Fleming, the author of the James Bond series, he stayed in this room. And then we've had persons like Lord Mountbatten, the Viceroy of India, as well as Prince Edward and Mrs. Simpson. They too came to the home on many occasions. Do you know that the period home of, or at Great Cliff, that was owned by Lord Mountbatten
Okay.
before it was sold to Howard Taylor? Have you ever been there?
No, I haven't been there yet, but now that you mention it, I'm going to make a point
To go
to
there?
visit that.
Yeah. Last but not least, the master bedroom called the Violet bedroom. And this is the room Mrs. Price would have stayed in when she came to the islands. Not actually when she came to the islands. She had another home going about 16 miles east of this house called Xanadu. We call it today Old Fort Bay.
Okay.
Yeah, that was her first house. But she would come to this home when she had business or whatever she had to do in town.
Now, I'd assume she was kind of a short lady because I see they have the step there.
Yeah, persons
To
back
get
then
in.
were much
Yeah.
shorter than they are today.
Because a person my height, I could just walk to this bed and get right in.
And then Huntington Hartford, have you ever heard of him?
No, ma'am.
Huntington Hartford was the man who built the Paradise Island Bridge.
Okay.
That was her brother.
Okay.
He also built the one and only Ocean Club, which we today we use as a hotel.
Right.
But back then he built that for his rich and famous friends not, how should I put it, not to come to the islands as a form of paying for rooms, but for a form of just to enjoy themselves when they were here on the island.
Okay.
Today, I guess, they're paid rooms, you know. But the street on which this home is situated on, it was once called Prison Lane. Because as you enter into the street from Bay Street, on the right there's a light blue building to the left. That was our first prison in the 17th century. When the Loyalists came in the 18th century, they then built another prison where the Nassau Public Library is.
Right.
Okay.
Hey, tell us why the beds were higher back then.
There was something called a commode, or what you call a chamber pot.
Mm-hmm.
You heard about the chamber pot?
Was that something like you
Like a little commode.
Yeah.
Right. But the chamber pot would have been able to slide under the bed during the night and remove in the morning.
Oh,
Remember
okay.
now, the private bathroom came into being when the American bought the house in 1947. So before that, they would have had to go to the outhouse. So they would have been able to use that chamber pot.
Without having to go out. Okay, and the bed was elevated just so you could slide it in and out.
Yeah.
Okay.
One of the reasons. But it's really a steam trunk. And during that time, the steamship was actually the mode of transportation. So this is what I would say it's similar to your Samsung luggage.
Mm-hmm.
This would have been their Samsung luggage back then. But it's much heavier than that because you had like 3 to 4 persons having to carry that out.
So if you had one of these back in those days, you had money.
Mm-hmm.
I got to give you a view of the famous balcony from the inside because it's so fragile. They don't allow the visitors to the balcony house to actually step on it or walk on it. So you got to look on it from the inside, trying to show you as best as I can. Go over to this door here, so you can see like the other side of it. But we cannot step out onto that. And this house is now owned by the Central Bank of the Bahamas, which is right across the street. Alright, now this is a well that's on the property, and they said it took, I think, over 100 slaves to build this, and it is about 60 to 100 feet deep. And this is one of the original things that were here at the balcony house in its original state. This here is an ackee tree, and it's in the yard of the balcony house. And if the name sounds familiar, ackee is something that is used in a very popular Jamaican dish called ackee and saltfish. And I think that this is one of the rare ackee trees that you would find here in Nassau. I don't know if much of these trees grow here, but one is located here in the yard of the balcony house.
Thank you for coming to visit Balcony House, or thank you for coming and visiting one of your hidden treasures.
Well, that is it for today's video. If you enjoyed it, make sure you give the video a big thumbs up. I definitely enjoyed it. I enjoyed taking my first time tour of the balcony house here in Nassau, and I suggest that you do the same thing too. If you live here, go ahead and check it out. If you're visiting, make sure you tell your taxi driver or tour operator to take you over to the balcony house. Now, if you haven't as yet, make sure you go ahead and subscribe to the channel and check out all of the links I left in the description section for you. So until next time, I'll see you in the next video.